On our channel, we talk not only about cars, we hunt down the most impressive feats of engineering all over the planet. From expensive automobiles to colossal nautical giants plowing the oceans. If it is huge, powerful, and awe-inspiring, it will definitely make it into one of our episodes. Today, we head out onto the open sea. Before you are 15 of the most grandiose ships in the world. If you love watching vessels slowly drift across the horizon or simply adore sheer scale, make yourself comfortable. In this list, you will find true titans. I will also ask you to subscribe to the channel before we begin. You will help us, and in return, we will delight you with new videos. Enjoy the viewing. Even if you are not thrilled by cruise liners, Icon of the Seas will take your breath away. This is not just a vessel. It is a true sea monster from Royal Caribbean that inaugurates an entirely new class of ships, called the Icon class. Its displacement is an astonishing 250,000 tons. For comparison, it is a full 6% heavier than the previous record holder, Wonder of the Seas. Almost 10,000 people, including crew and passengers, can be accommodated on board this giant. Just think about it. 10,000 people on a single vessel, breathing the same air and sharing every meter of space. To put it mildly, that is not to everyone's taste. But the scale of entertainment here is just as impressive. 20 decks, a gigantic water park, numerous zones for the whole family, 14 new cabin types. Boredom is simply impossible on this liner. Next comes the current flagship of Royal Caribbean, Wonder of the Seas. This liner still holds the title of the largest cruise ship, but its days are numbered. Icon of the Seas is already on the way. Wonder of the Seas was launched in 2022 and weighs more than 236,000 tons. About 7,000 passengers can stay in its staterooms, and they are served by a crew of more than 2,000 people. This is a genuine floating civilization divided into themed neighborhoods, as though you were in a city. There is a promenade with hot dogs and arcade machines, sports bars, parks, pools with water slides, an ice rink, a casino, a theater, a spa, a fitness center, and even a comedy club. Royal Caribbean assures that thanks to the ship's layout, passengers do not feel cramped despite the enormous number of people. Well, perhaps that is true, if you do not count the crowds at the buffet and the lines for the elevators. Royal Caribbean seems unwilling to stop until it conquers the entire ocean with its giant liners. Its fleet expands with enviable regularity, and every new ship tries to surpass the previous one in size and luxury. Odyssey of the Seas is yet another representative of this nautical madness. This vessel is called a floating kids camp. Everything here is geared toward family leisure. But if you are ready to spend a vacation surrounded by hordes of squealing children jumping into dozens of pools, then you're either a hero parent or the owner of iron endurance. Of course, there is also an adults-only zone on board, a solarium with its own bar, restaurant, and whirlpools. Yet that is exactly where all 4,000 grown-ups flee when they are tired of the neon chaos of slides, carousels, and endless childish shrieks. When Freedom of the Seas was launched in 2006, it became the largest passenger ship on the planet. But in this business, one does not stay on the pedestal for long. New giants quickly arrive to overshadow her dimensions. Nevertheless, it is still a powerful vessel, more than 340 meters long and almost 56 meters wide. Its speed is 21.6 knots. Capacity: over 5,000 people. At the time, the liner was considered a true technological marvel. Here you will find an entire street of shops, restaurants, theaters, bars, an ice rink, a library, sports courts with mini golf, volleyball, and a climbing wall. Yes, in the early 2000s, this was the peak of cruise luxury. But Royal Caribbean is not accustomed to resting on its laurels. Every year it releases ever more extravagant ships. So, Freedom of the Seas is gradually fading into the shadows. And finally, in this parade of Royal Caribbean ships, mariner of the seas. Yes, yet another giant from this cruise empire. How does it differ from the previous ones? Well, a little bigger, a little smaller. 20 pools instead of 23. Perhaps it has laser tag, or a flow rider surf simulator where you ride an artificial wave without leaving the sea. Want more entertainment? Very well. There is an escape room on board in case you suddenly wish to flee from this ship of amusements. If all these activities tire you, dozens of bars and restaurants will help you forget everything. Alcohol is the traditional salvation from sea boredom, and on such a ship, one can be bored even with champagne in hand. Now we move from the Royal Caribbean Fleet to their main competitors, the cruise empire Carnival. And opening the parade of giants from this company is a vessel with a resounding name, Carnival Celebration. It is slightly smaller than its Royal Caribbean rivals, but in terms of madness and amount of entertainment, it yields nothing. Its tonnage is more than 183,000 tons, and on board you will literally find everything. There is even a darn roller coaster, and that is no joke. It really is installed on the deck and rides along rails hanging over the ocean. Cabins are offered for every taste, from standard family rooms to luxurious suites for those accustomed to maximum comfort. Of course, if your room overlooks the lifeboats or has no windows at all, you will surely want to spend as little time inside as possible. Fortunately, an endless number of bars, restaurants, stages, theaters, and entertainment shows awaits you on board. There is plenty for children, too. Carnival even cooperates with the Kennedy Space Center, offering young passengers educational sessions about science and space. Meanwhile, adults can calmly destroy their last neurons in one of the numerous bars. A real celebration on the water. The next giant in Carnival's arsenal is Carnival Panorama. This Vista-class vessel entered service in 2019, and although newer liners have surpassed it since, it still remains an impressive representative of the cruise world. At first glance, the upper deck looks like a playground for hamsters. A maze of tubes, slides, and water attractions covers the entire area. This is the key family zone. As always, there are dozens of bars and entertainment halls, but unlike many competitors, this ship has no casino, and, what is especially surprising, no spa center. Yet the ship often operates out of California, where a spa is almost a mandatory element of any luxury. How will passengers survive without saunas, hammams, and aromatherapy massages? Nevertheless, the vessel's capacity is impressive. More than 4,800 passengers and 1,450 crew members. Despite its youth, the ship has already begun to experience technical problems, causing Carnival to cancel certain voyages and refund customers. Alas, even such giants sometimes malfunction. Next in line is another heavyweight from Carnival, Carnival Breeze. This ship saw the light in 2012 and since then has been plowing the waters of the Caribbean Sea, departing from Miami, Florida. A luxurious geography for an equally luxurious vessel. The ship is designed for 3,690 passengers and is served by a crew of 1,386. Its tonnage exceeds 130,000 tons, making it a serious player, though it does lag behind the newest monsters in size. As expected, there are bars, restaurants, a casino, and, oh yes, a full spa complex on board. Because what cruise would be complete without that? Now before us is a real long liver, a vessel with a rich history. Carnival Joy formerly bore the name Carnival Victory and first went to sea back in 2000. Over 2 decades of service, tens of thousands of people have visited its decks. And yes, over the years, the ship began to lose its luster. But in 2020, Carnival decided to give the old lady a new life. After an extensive refit, the liner received a fresh name and a complete upgrade. Today, Carnival Joy is a renewed vessel with a displacement of 102,000 tons and a capacity of 2,764 passengers and 1,100 crew members. On board, 4 pools, a spa complex, a casino, 3 spacious dining rooms, and dozens of bars and lounges. And still, the same bright Las Vegas-style shows, beloved by passengers. In short, everything needed for those who want to rest on the water with flair and never be bored for a minute. Yes, perhaps this ship is not the most modern among all those we have already discussed, but it has stood the test of time and now shines as if it has just left the shipyard. Although, to be honest, all these vessels are beginning to merge into one gigantic sea party. Maybe we should change course. We move on to the Swiss cruise giant, MSC Cruises. This is the 3rd largest cruise company in the world, and of course they also have ships that can rival any monster from Carnival or Royal Caribbean. Meet MSC Seascape. This is the largest of 4 Seaside-class ships in the MSC fleet. Its length is 339 meters, tonnage 169,400. It proudly rises 20 decks high. Capacity, more than 5,000 passengers and about 1,650 crew members. The ship looks like a standard cruise vessel with a huge hotel literally planted on top. But MSC Seascape has one feature no other liner in the world can offer, an attraction called Robotron. This giant robotic arm ride lifts you in a seat high above the ocean, spins and swings you, all of it over the abyss of water. If you have a weak vestibular system, better stay away. But if you crave adrenaline, forward, straight into its mechanical embrace. MSC clearly strives not to lag behind in the cruise entertainment race. And although many of their ships look restrained in a European way, they certainly do not lack imagination. And here is the older sister of the previous ship, MSC Seaside. This was the first Seaside-class vessel in MSC Cruises. It was announced first, built first, and sailed long before all the others appeared. Despite its resemblance to Seascape, there is one difference. It is slightly smaller. The tonnage is 153,516. At the time of construction, it ranked 14th among the largest cruise ships in the world. Not first place, but still a significant achievement. And although outwardly it may not differ from other liners, it had one unpleasant story that hit the headlines. In 2021, the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention inspected the vessel and gave it a score of 67 out of 100. The reason? Hygiene problems, dishwashers were not coping, and flies appeared in the dining rooms. Yes, flies. Imagine that aroma in a restaurant with an ocean view. Since then, measures have been taken, and now the ship proudly demonstrates a much more respectable score, 93 out of 100. But the aftertaste, as they say, remains. Dinner on such a ship is for the connoisseur. Before you is MSC World Europa, yet another monumental liner from MSC Cruises, which became the new flagship of the company at its launch in 2022. This ship became the largest in their history. And that's not just empty words. It can accommodate almost 7,000 passengers. And so that all that mass of people does not feel like prisoners of the open sea, 33 restaurants and bars are provided on board. But the most interesting thing is not only the food. Aboard World Europa, you will find completely unconventional entertainment. First, there is a Formula One simulator. It is unclear whether a breath alcohol test is required before the ride. But knowing cruise tourists? Probably not. And second, and this is truly unique, there is the tallest dry slide at sea. That is right, a dry slide that runs through 10 decks. Sounds insane? That was precisely the intention. However, despite its technological gadgets and proud statements about eco-friendliness, the liner still runs on liquefied natural gas, LNG. Yes, it is less harmful than heavy fuel oils, but its methane emissions are much higher. Such is the irony. A ship proud of caring for nature releases gases into the atmosphere capable of warming an entire continent. The last MSC vessel on our list is MSC Virtuosa. Its construction began back in 2020, But just then, the entire cruise world hit pause. Therefore, it made its maiden voyage only in May 2021. The liner belongs to the Meraviglia Plus class, and that already says a lot. Each new ship in this class is slightly larger than the previous one. Virtuosa is no exception. Its tonnage is an impressive 181,000 tons. Capacity: 6,334 passengers, plus the hundreds of crew members who serve this giant. On board, everything you expect from cruise luxury: shows, restaurants, shops, pools, spa zones, and all of it is executed in a European style. More restrained than American competitors, but no less impressive. So if you want a cruise without neon carousels, but with a refined atmosphere, this is the place for you. Now we head north. Before us is a representative of the large Norwegian cruise company, Norwegian Cruise Line. Their new offspring, Norwegian Primma, launched on her maiden voyage in 2022. This is the first vessel in a line of 6 new liners. Its tonnage is 143,535. Yes, these are not record numbers, but this ship focuses not only on size, but also on comfort. The crew-to-passenger ratio here is higher than that of most competitors. That means more attention to every tourist. On board, everything is expected: pools, restaurants, entertainment zones. But there is also a highlight: the extreme attraction, the drop, where a passenger literally plunges down through 10 decks. It is not a roller coaster, but it does deliver a rather sharp adrenaline rush, especially after a couple of cocktails. So we have reached the end of this incredible sea journey. The ships you have just learned about are not merely transport. They are genuine floating worlds, cities, amusement parks, entertainment laboratories, and engineering marvels. They are symbols of ambition, technology, and perhaps humanity's thirst for gigantomania. Which of these maritime titans would you choose for your voyage? Write in the comments which ship impressed you the most. And do not forget, ahead lie many more amazing episodes, not only about cars, but about any technology that inspires awe. See you on board the next video.